It's so funny. I say stuff to Raphael. He pops up. He was like, "Oh yeah, we got Xavier tomorrow."
Oh yeah, he told me like 2 days ago. He's like, man, you should probably get Xavier on. He'd be good for the show.
Let's do it. Yeah, man. I'm definitely, as soon as you hit me up, I'm like, yeah, no question.
Yeah, man. So my man got to get to dinner or whatever it is. So let's jump right into it. Tweet Talk, episode 25.
Lit.
We got a special guest here this week, Xavier Miller. Introduce yourself to the audience here, X.
What's going on, y'all? My name is Xavier Miller, like Raphael said. And, pretty much, I'm an investor, entrepreneur. That's pretty much it.
Yep.
Keep it simple.
You can follow him on Twitter at Xavier C. Miller.
Yep. Same for Instagram.
Cool.
What's the C stand for?
You first person to ask. Cameron.
Okay. Cool.
Cameron. Oh, all right. Killer
cool. Cam.
Also, co-host of the Millionaire Mindset podcast.
Yes, sir.
What's that? I saw you were saying it's ranked number 83.
Yes.
This podcast. That's what, Apple Podcasts, or what platform is that?
That was Apple, the Apple charts.
Cool. So doing big things, making moves.
Got the office popping.
Yes, sir. Moving up like the Jeffersons.
2019 is the year of blessings over there.
Man, it is. We just preparing for 2020. You know how I go.
Yeah, man, we almost there. Let's kick it off with one of your tweets. Zay, I'm not trying to tell anyone what to do, but if you're a man with big goals and aspirations, it's best to stick with one woman that rocks with you and understands your vision and has similar goals. Having a bunch of chicks bouncing back and forth is nothing but a distraction.
Yes, sir. You want me to expound on it?
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, like you just read the tweet, that's basically it. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like a lot of times, especially in the Black community, a lot of us come up with the impression as to express our manhood, so that we man, we gotta have multiple women. I know I myself used to think, like, even though I grew up in a married home, I still thought that was the dope, cool thing to do, because that's what you see. Like, you see people doing that, especially in music, see people in the neighborhood doing it. It seems like the cool thing to do. But in actuality, if you're trying to build something sustainable, something important, if you got an empire mindset, that's what you're trying to do, it's really not productive. Because at the end of the day, women, they take a lot of your time. And if you got several women, you doing several things with them, how can you really focus on you trying to build that empire when you got all these, women over here, women over there. They're asking you where you at, where you been, The shit just, it's not beneficial if you're trying to build. Now, if you're one of those guys that's cool, you just got a job, all you think about is working, going home, chilling, you ain't got that many aspirations. It might be cool for you to do that. But if you're trying to boss your life up and get to a certain level, I don't think it's beneficial to have just a whole bunch of women just all over the place. Unless you just smashing and dashing or something, that might be your thing. That's something different. But if you just dealing with them continuously, or they taking away from your time from what you could be doing, I think that's a lose situation.
Right. And we always talk about it, and I've talked about it, kind of like the whole transmutation, and where you start splitting up your person is tough to focus. But another thing that we always talk about, and we've seen it on the show, multiple shows, is that connection when a man and a woman get together, how much like bigger things they can do together. And so if you're out there and you're talking to this chick on a shallow level, you're also losing access to having one powerful woman behind you, because they sense it, they know what it is. And so they're not going to be as fully invested in it if you're not fully invested in it. But when you are fully invested in a woman, she's going to fully invest in you. And you tap into that power of having that woman behind you. So I think that's one thing. It's like the opposite that we'll never really touch on, but it's definitely there.
For sure. So you said, X, accomplishments are a side effect of believing in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And you also said, I changed my mindset, then my circumstances start to change. You can't change anything until you address and fix your mentality first.
Yep.
You think differently, you act differently. When you act differently, you get results you never got before.
Yep. And that's just facts to me. I feel like a lot of times people say they want to change or whatever, but they don't want to address the mentality part. We all know everything starts with the mindset. Like if you're gonna do something, you gotta get your mind right first. And whatever aspect it is, it don't matter if it's something good or bad. If you're gonna do it, you gotta put yourself in that mindset. So that's pretty much what I was touching on for that part right there. Like however you want your life to be, like they say, you got to put yourself mentally first. You got to put yourself there mentally first before you actually there in the physical.
One of the things that I noticed about Xavier is he's very like no nonsense accountability. Like it just is what it is. You got yourself in a situation, you get yourself out of it. But a lot of people aren't like that. Why are you different? A lot of people, they're like, nah, we black, we supposed to blah blah blah. But I feel like it's a consistent theme in all your tweets. It's like, nah, like do something. No, sacrifice. No, like why is that?
That's because, and that's funny you bring it up, because I didn't even realize, because I kind of was under the impression that was the norm until I got on Twitter. And I seen people coming at me crazy, and I'm like, I was confused. It was throwing me off, because I'm like, whoa. Then I dove deeper into to understand, and I realized that's really from my father. Growing up in a two-parent household, my dad, he was always like, no matter what happened, it didn't matter what, it could have been anything out of my control, like anything. And when it came to him and we talked about it, it was always, okay, what could have you done better? What could you have done to stop this? Even if it was nothing, it was like, and I used to be pissed as a kid, because I was like, man, he always blaming me. Like, it's not my fault. Why he always coming at me crazy? But as an adult, I understood he was giving me control. Like, he was telling me, like, you in control. You in control of each situation you get yourself in. You can get yourself out of it. You just got to be in control, and think like that. So that's pretty much why I think like that. Like every situation, I feel like you have to take accountability, because it gives you the power. It gives you control. As soon as you point the finger at somebody, now the situation is in their hand. The control of the situation is in their hand. So I just try not to point the finger at anybody for any situation, because that's accountability gives you power.
Yep. What you got for him, Raphael?
Yeah, let me jump on one of yours real quick. Charles, you said the same circumstances you are complaining about are an opportunity.
So, man, I find a lesson everywhere. And in LA, it rained on like Tuesday, and so I got off of the train. I got to the corner, and like I looked to the left, and there's a little Mexican dude selling umbrellas. They never sell umbrellas unless it's raining. But that same dude will be selling hot dogs after the basketball game, oranges during the summertime, flowers in the corner when it's time to sell flowers. And so one of the things that kind of frustrates me is like on that same corner up, you'll see a brother with a cup selling nothing, waiting for a donation, waiting for a handout. But it's kind of like two different circumstances, but kind of the same thing. But one thing that I noticed is like they came to America, and they didn't come to America hoping that politics were in their favor, hoping that they got laws passed to support them in whatever they're doing. No, they took whatever situation that they had, where rain is kind of seen as like a bad thing. Like they say, save them for a rainy day. So like you can look at the rain as a negative thing, or you can look at it as, hey, like, you know what? I can be selling umbrellas right now. And so that's just like that's a metaphor for like everything across the board. What other negative circumstances are we complaining about that we could be selling umbrellas in? And so like that's kind of what I was trying to say. Like all the stuff that we're complaining about is really an opportunity. If you look at, I just got finished reading Black Fortunes. Of course, we've read Black Titan. All those negatives actually created a Black positive economy. And then they started solving the problems for us. And that unfortunately kind of set us back. But what I found is like we always say, like, I don't start businesses, I solve problems. And so if you are successful, you're looking for problems to solve, because the bigger the problem you solve, the more money you make. But we as a community point at the problems and say, dang, it's a problem. Like, let's go get the government, or dang, it's a problem. Like, woe is us. Like, no, like, think your way through your problems, and then you're going to create the wealth that you're complaining about. That's kind of what that was about. But I wanted to really point that out, because every day online, there's somebody talking about some injustice, some unfairness, some slight, some whatever, but they're not looking at how they can capitalize on it, looking about how they can complain about it. And that's kind of where I was going with that one.
What you got to say on that one, Jake?
I love it, and that's funny because I was just reading about how somebody was saying it was like if everything was perfect and there wasn't no problems, there wouldn't be no opportunity. So, and that gave me a different outlook on things when I read that earlier today. So that's pretty much picking back on what he said.
I'm glad you got that one, Raphael.
So Zig, you said it's kind of similar. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. If you can't create wealth or at least become financially stable in this era today, you'll probably never be able to do it. Right now is probably the easiest time to ever build wealth.
Yep.
Opportunities are literally endless because of the internet. No excuses.
Yep. And so I got a friend of mine. Her name Chrissy. Shout out to Chrissy. And she always tells me when we talk, she's like, the internet is the great equalizer. And she always says what she means. You know, it's a lot of things that go in society when we talk about racism and all that, different injustices, different advantages they got. But the internet, it makes it equal in a lot of ways because it gives you a lot of opportunity now. Prime example, what we're doing right now, podcasting. We all know podcasting is another income stream you create just from conversations. Like when I talk to my mother and she know I got a podcast, she thought I was just, you know what I'm saying? She just thought it was like a little hobby. And I told her, you know, I get income from that. She was like, what? I'm like, she's like, hold on, wait, like, you know what I'm saying? My mom was born in the 60s, so she don't even really understand it. She like, well, you getting paid to talk? Like, how does this work? And that's just a small example of how many different lanes, opportunities there are out here. You just kind of have to be having your eyes open, like looking for opportunities. So many people got their eyes shut to opportunity, they can't even see it when it's literally right in front of them. You got the internet, I can connect with you, send you a DM if you're doing something. Let's collab on this. Let's do this. Let's create our own thing. It's really no excuses out here at all, in my opinion. That's just how I see things.
100%.
Yeah, man. My man Tom Milli says, people who work for money work for people who print money.
Man, so I tweeted that. I haven't fully refined that whole thought, but I'm reading the book Fake by Robert Kiyosaki right now, Rich Dad Poor Dad author. And he was just talking about how, like, especially with like in banking, how you see how they can create fractional reserve banking where they can lend out $10 for every $1 that they have. And he was just talking about how it's kind of like that concept of the rich don't work for money, and you kind of create money through creation, not necessarily through like actually going out there and hustling. So it's a concept that I haven't fully developed yet. And that's one of the ones that I'm actually kind of like, why'd you ask me that one? I'm not there. Let's talk about that one next week. Let's talk about that one next.
Man. No problem, man. No problem. So Zig said, we all got choices, so don't complain about the results of the lifestyle you chose to take.
Yep. And that tweet really stemmed from the backfire that I seen Aisha getting when she was saying how she pretty much sacrificed her 20s to get what she is now. And I'm like, and a lot of people was coming at her crazy, like, I'm not doing it. I could die at any moment. It was like, okay, if you go that route, you choose to go that route. When you're in your 40s complaining about having lack of money or lack of whatever, don't complain about it. You had a choice. You could have went the route of, I'm going to try to attain wealth, but you didn't. You said I could die at any moment, so you went that route. So don't complain about the choices. But on the same side of that, now me, for example, anybody else, if y'all chasing wealth, trying to attain wealth, we can't complain about the say years from now if we missed out on opportunities with our close loved ones. We can't complain about that because this is the lifestyle, this is the lane we chose. So if something happened when we missing out on time with loved ones, time with family, we know this will just come with it. This part of the game. Sometimes we're gonna have to sacrifice some of that part. This is the life we chose. We can't complain about that either. So whether it's good or bad, and it's all relative anyway. You can't complain about whatever lane you decide to go down. So that's what I was basically saying with that.
It's so funny because I didn't realize that it's not necessarily like me as a person as much as it's just the platform that is Twitter, where it's just it's a space where people just like they love to hate. And so I thought Aisha sharing her story was inspirational.
Right. Exactly. I did too. I ain't understand how people got that confused. I was confused.
So it's just very interesting. I mean, it's very easy on Twitter to say what you got to say because you can hide behind that one picture that's not that big. And sometimes people don't use that one picture, but on Instagram, it's like people they're not as crazy on Instagram as they are on Twitter.
They're not.
That's true.
So that's one thing. But it's just interesting because we had this conversation on a podcast I haven't released yet with Casanova Brooks, and we were kind of going back and forth. Not back and forth, but I brought up the idea about working hard and kind of embracing the work. And he was like, man, Jeff Bezos doesn't work that hard anymore. But I feel like it kind of speaks to Aisha Selden. And it's like it's so many different layers in what she was saying. The first is the whole concept of you're going to die by the time you're 40. And and she kind of made the point, and she's like, everybody always talks about generational wealth, but you guys are only living to your 20s. You're living to your 30s. You're planning to tomorrow. You're not even planning generational. It's like that quote where they say, like, wealthy people plan for generations and poor people plan for Saturday night. A lot of people are planning for Saturday night, and then they don't get generational wealth. They're like, damn, well, I guess it was racism's fault. Like, no, like, you had 20, 30 years to get it together. And so, like, the thing that's crazy is if you read the bios, like a lot of us, like I read a lot of bios. So I've read the Elon Musk story. I've read like the Bezos, not the Bezos story, but a lot of like bios. And it always talks about like they got it in, man. Like they were sleeping at the office. They were doing 16-hour days, 20-hour days, not taking days off, not taking weekends, not taking vacations, and they became billionaires. And so a lot of people think that they don't work. It's like Eric Thomas said, it's like, you think they don't work? Like, no, like they really get it in. You don't see it. You didn't see what they did to get there, but they did. Aisha Selden is not uncommon in that space. Like they say, if you want to be a part of the 1%, you got to do what the 99% aren't doing. And so a lot of people, like, that's really what it takes is that level of intensity. But, I mean, it'd be great to say that she was privileged or she was handling all these different things, and so that's why she did it. Like, I think those are just excuses for people who don't want to work. And it is what it is at that point in time.
And one thing I didn't understand is, like, why would they say she was privileged because she had a college scholarship? Like,
you can't look. This is what I learned from Twitter. You can't make sense out of people that don't have no sense in the shit they say. So don't even try to figure it out. It's just it don't make sense. So I just leave it alone.
It was like she got an inheritance. She didn't get money from her mother. It was just, oh, you went to college for free. Oh, wow. Okay.
The crazy part about it is even if you do happen to be that privileged, you still got to grind for it, man. Like, even like, there's people who get inheritances and they just bullshit it. They just fuck it off. People who get windfalls from life insurance, they just bullshit and they fuck it off. So it's like we got to start giving respect where it's due instead of trying to like normalize it and equalize it and kind of like poke holes in it to make ourselves feel better, not achieving what they've achieved. And I think that's what it is. The wise person is going to hear that and get challenged and inspired. The loser is going to hear it and make excuses.
Yeah, like they say, there's no making sense of this stuff. Because I'm still wondering why do they hate people that wear a suit and they I don't know, I'm still confused about that. Yeah,
I think it's funny. I kind of throw it in their face.
It's like, oh, you know, he's an idiot. Look at him. He's wearing a suit and his AV. What the hell?
He has a tie on. This guy is stupid.
Right.
Can't take him serious.
Okay.
Where's his facial hair?
Hey, seriously, that's how it is.
So, Charles, you said, fam, that's a word. Folks talking about generational wealth and think life ends at 30. Fuck. Like, so. And
That's like,
go ahead.
Well, that's kind of what I was talking about with the whole, like, not willing to sacrifice to see 40. It's like, how long do you think you're going to live on this earth? And also, like, who else are you planning for? So.
Yeah, now you also said most folks hyping wealth by 30 don't know the data and just want to compete with rappers and athletes. So is it like, why people think they're gonna get this done in 5 years? Like,
well, I feel like it's that, but also it's kind of levels to it. Like, just because you don't hit the pinnacle doesn't mean you aren't taking steps towards the pinnacle. So, like, your 30 might still look kind of nice. Your 35 might still look kind of nice. You might not be a millionaire, but you maybe have established some sort of financial freedom for yourself. But I feel like what's unfortunate is we try to rush it. And the only reason why I tell people not to rush it is because it's dangerous when you rush it. You skip steps. You maybe skirt the law. You do stuff that you're not supposed to do. Whereas like just doing stuff the legit way, the right way, and just taking that long step, you'll get there and you won't have to kind of like look over your shoulder while you're getting there. But one of the things when I was a financial advisor, they used to always do like a wealth profile. And they would say like your target market is probably going to look like somebody who's 50 or older. Somebody put out a stat and they said that like the average millionaire is 62 years old. I think that stat's a little bit high. I think it's closer to like 50. But it's true. Like as you get closer to 50, your income increases, your debt decreases, your kids are raised and they're adults. And so you can just start investing your high income, low debt, low expenses into your wealth building. So I just want people to kind of take the more intelligent and diligent approach towards wealth instead of rushing it, because I just don't really think that there's anything wrong with like just taking your time. But also I say it because I don't want people who aren't there by 30 to kind of like lick up and say like, damn, like I'm not shit, or damn, like there's no time left, because life is long. And so it was kind of like a motivation for people to keep grinding it out, keep hustling, keep doing the steps, and not say if they don't get it by 30, then they're a failure. If they don't have it at 25, they're a failure. So that's kind of what my thought process was behind that.
But yeah, what you got to say, Zay? Because I know you only like what, 26?
Yep, 26.
I see you talk like this, even though you kind of young. But I see you talk about taking that long view of this wealth game.
Yep.
What made you? What makes you think like that at such a young age?
Because I think it's because like older people used to tell me all the time. They used to say, you know, life is long. You know, time go by fast. Life is long, and I just believe them. And I see how fast my life is going. I remember it felt like yesterday I was 21, so I'm 26. So I kind of see like 40 is not far away, even though it's 14 years. It's really not far away. And then 40 gonna be here, 50 gonna come, and then all this coming means I'm gonna have kids, grandkids, and I just see like it's kind of hard to explain, but I just know as long as I keep, you know, delaying gratification. And people, I feel like people get that confused when they hear you say delaying gratification. They think, oh man, your life boring as shit. You're not doing, you just working all day. That's not what I mean. It just means I have a balance where, you know what I'm saying, I'm trying to maintain what I'm doing, make that a priority. You know what I'm saying? Obviously you want to have fun, do what you want to do, but make the main thing the main thing. And thinking long term, because I know I'm not going to be here forever. I'm going to have kids. I want them to be in places and positions that I know in my lifetime I probably will never get to. That's kind of what I understand. I probably will never get to exactly where I want to get, but as long as I pass that baton to my kids, they might take it to a whole nother level where it's like, damn, you know what I mean? This is, because I look at it like, I feel like a lot, especially in the Black community, I just want to say this, I feel like we kind of disrespect and take for granted that the work that the prior generations before us did. You know what I'm saying? Even myself, sometimes I feel like I just recognize, like I was in the position when I was looking at my parents one time. I'm like, damn, man, they ain't handled the business like the way they should have been. They could have gave me the baton. I could have been in a better position. But then I looked at it from a different angle, saying how my grandparents was part of the Great Migration coming from the South. My grandparents, they had no education, you know what I'm saying, single families. And my parents was the first parents to go to school, get them education, stay together. Me and my brothers come from a two-parent household, you know what I'm saying? We both all in different parts of the country doing so. Each generation is supposed to grow, and I see it, but when you live in it, it seems like it's not growing as fast, but it is. So I understand that's how it is going to be for the next generation. That's why I think long term, because I know I'm going to pass this baton to them. They're going to take it to heights that I couldn't even imagine. So that's just how I see things. That's my goal.
Cool, man. You said when people used to talk about cars and say, as long as it gets you from point A to point B, you good. I thought that was corny, but now I realize that's the realest shit in the world. Ain't nothing better than having a running car with low ass payments or no payments at all.
Man, I swear that's so real. Because like I said, coming from Chicago, it's a real fast mentality. Everything is like, you know what I'm saying? You got to get a foreign car. You got to be in designer clothes. It's like a real live fast mentality. And then when you see somebody in a regular Toyota, Honda, Nissan, it's like, oh man, they ain't doing shit with their life. They ain't know nothing. Like, as sad as that is, that's just how it is there. So you hear people say like, man, you get you a car from point A to point B. It's like, nah, fuck that. I need a new Beamer, new Benz, new something. But when you understand money, you see things differently. It's like having a car that just runs. I mean, even though it might not be exactly what you want, is you got them low payments that could go to another column where you can continue to build wealth, buy assets with it or something else. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, it is just a car. You don't need to buy those things until you got it 10 times over, where it's nothing to you to buy it.
Yeah. What you gotta say, Charles? On that one.
I don't know.
Charles drives a Lexus. That's why he don't want to answer.
No, I love cars too. I love like I was just telling my girl, I'm like at the top of the year, I think I'm about to buy me a Tesla. But I can say that because I've been staying down for years, like years. So I could buy it without it really affecting me. So when I say that, I'm really talking to people that I know that ain't got it like that, but they like, yo, I need to get a Benz because I need to feel like I'm valuable. You're like, bro, I'm just trying to tell them, bro, stay down in that, whatever you got, and build that up before you get there, because you're going to put yourself in a situation that you're going to be praying that you get out of.
Well, it's just, I guess what I have to say about that is somebody today said that when they read my tweets, it hurts. And that's a tweet that kind of hurts. Like hearing that you only need a car for A to B, that's one that's like, I actually kind of like cars. So for me, like, it's true though, and that's something my wife would agree with. She's like, you just need to get to work and back and whatever wife say. So like, I agree with the statement. I need to be able to implement on that statement.
Yeah, and I see it more like that tweet. I look at it more about like keeping your debt low, more so than about cars, really. Like, instead of financing everything to the fullest, freeing up your income.
I got an Xavier tweet. It says, if you think you can't get ahead, odds are very high you'll never get ahead. If you're at the bottom and believe you can get ahead and act on it every day, odds are very high you'll get ahead. It's really that simple. Yep. Can you expand on that one? Because it doesn't speak about circumstances. It says it's all about mindset at that point.
Because I believe, like I said, circumstances don't matter. If you got the right mindset and you act on it every day, I don't care if you come from the gutter or if you from the slums of Chicago, or if you from the slums from overseas where it's really the slums. I feel like you got the right mindset, and the most important part, like I said in that tweet, you act on it every day. I want the people to get that part, because you could just have the mentality. If you ain't doing shit, you just think like that, but you sit home every day, it's not gonna get you nowhere. But if you got that mentality and you grinding at it every day, it's only gonna be a matter of time before you in a whole different situation. But on the opposite side of that, if you got the mentality of a loser, you're gonna be a loser. There's no way around it. It don't matter if you got money or if you poor. You gonna be a loser regardless.
Yep, I agree. I like it.
That's why you got the podcast, Millionaire Mindsets. Check it out with Deanna Kent. It's Deanna, right?
Yep, yes, sir, Deanna.
Cool. So everybody listening, you gotta check that out if you don't listen already. And most of the people that listen to this probably already listened to that already anyway, but still, check that out. So I got a little compound tweet here. So Charles, you tweeted this. Zig, you retweeted it, and I think it came from X in the first place anyway. Capitalism is the best system for black people.
I'm glad you picked that. That's a great tweet for you to pick, man. It's like a combo breaker.
Yeah, I know that's probably controversial, especially within our community, because it's a time right now where I feel like for the longest, capitalism, when you hear that word, it's like, oh shit, it's like a snake or something. But at the end of the day, what I want people to understand, and I'm so glad you brought that up, like, this is like really for black people. What I want black people to understand is we live in America. Like I keep saying, at the end of the day, whether you got socialist views or not, this is a capitalist society. So you got to understand the game you're playing in. Even if you're one of those people that's like, nah, fuck that, they owe us this and that. Yo, you got to understand they're not going to give you shit. You're going to have to, this is a capitalist system. You got to get your bread up, boss up, and that's pretty much it. That's why, like, I want to make sure I'm wording this right so nobody, you know what I'm saying, misunderstand what I'm saying. When people talk about reparations, the same people I talk about reparations all the time, it's typically the same people that I hear complaining about how the government ain't shit, they oppressing us. So I'm like, why the fuck you think they gonna give you reparations? You saying they oppressing you, but you like, you got out, like, what? Like, this makes no sense to me. So it's like, yo, you gotta pick one. Your oppressor not gonna give you anything. And like, I got a different mentality where I see like, if somebody did oppress you, why the fuck should they give you something? Why should the bully feel like, you know what I'm saying, I done whooped your ass, why do I owe you anything? Do something back to me, boss up. And I ain't talking about we going out here harming nobody, nothing like that. I'm just mean economically, boss up. Like, nobody's going to give you nothing. Somebody that whooped your ass. I ain't never seen a bully apologize to somebody. Right. Or say, you know, I'm sorry, this is what I'm going to do to you. I'm going to give you your lunch money back. I'm going to do this. It don't work like that. You know what I'm saying? They're going to be like, if you got that mentality, like, could you just give me my lunch money back? They're going to continue to whoop your ass until you say, nah, I ain't doing this no more. We gonna link up. We gonna do our own thing. And we gonna get our own reparations. Then that's when things will change. So that when I speak on capitalism being the best system, capitalism, the system of capitalism give everybody an opportunity to do something for yourself. But that's what I mean by that. Being Black people, we could do something for ourselves. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of us, I feel like we don't fully understand that.
So somebody on Instagram put out a post, and she said that her mom was trying to move into like an affluent suburb of Los Angeles, like the Baldwin Park, Ladera Heights area, and she couldn't get approved for the loan. And so what she did is she circled back and she said, well, find out what kind of people are buying those homes. And she found that it was business owners and professionals. And her conclusion was that there's a certain level in a certain world that you can't even access if you're not a business owner. And so when I say that capitalism is the best system for Black people, one of the first things that kind of stands out to me is the fact that, kind of like what we were saying, is that the internet empowers us all. The internet is the equalizer. I've seen people, and it's something that I've kind of done for a while, is you can make money by operating through a logo, not by operating through your person. Meaning that people don't support Coke, some old white dude in the tower. They support that brand, that logo. Capitalism allows you to put a commodity between you and your money. And that commodity isn't you. That commodity is a nameless, faceless, raceless, genderless commodity. So people don't come to your restaurant because they like you. They come to your restaurant because they like your burger. It's not a Black burger. It's a burger. They don't have Black hunger or white hunger. They have hunger. They don't, and that's why people can make so much money in real estate, is because it's a nameless, faceless transaction. And so that's why capitalism allows African American people and any people to do well in America. That's why immigrants come to America not for assistance. They come here to start a business. I was talking to a client today. She came from Lima, Peru, and she owns a smog company, a smog check stop. Super successful. Home in Manhattan Beach, just paying for her healthcare out of pocket, like just doing super duper well. Doesn't have a college education, nothing. She just came from Peru. She's like, you know what? I got to start a business. I was reading this case a long time ago about this couple who actually, it was a criminal law case, and she had shot this lady in the back of the head. But I read the bio of the owner. It's an Asian couple who came here. They worked in a sweatshop, worked from the sweatshop, got a liquor store, and now they're successful. Business is how you win in America. Ownership is how you win in America, because the income is unlimited. There are no restrictions. We see it today from the young Spurgo kid. The dude's like 12, and he has a company doing numbers online. We see people who are quitting jobs that are paying them $15 and $20 an hour, starting an online business and making $250,000 in a year. No employer is going to do that for you. It eliminates race. It eliminates the employer. It eliminates their power over your life, because at that point in time, you're going to the market. I say it all the time. There's more money in the world than there is on your job. You can go out to the world and you can sell yourself to the billions of people in the world, as opposed to trying to get one person to like you. So I really wish that I could break it down, but I just want to say that, like, when you have a commodity that you can sell over and over and over countless times, your income is unlimited, versus your job is going to determine if they like you, if you smell good, if you look good, if they like the way you talk, if they like the way you groom yourself. No, you put a product in between you and your money. You put an asset in between you and your money. Our tenants don't pay us because they like us. They pay us because we put a roof over their head. They could like us or they could hate us, but they have a roof. They're not paying us because of me. They're paying the roof. And so, like, if we can just get people to start thinking that way, put assets in between you and what you want in their life, we'll do a lot better financially.
That's deep right there.
Yeah. So we're gonna finish it off with this last tweet from Zay, because I think this one is a really good one, and it fits the show. If you're one of those people that like to be the only person with money in your circle, I can't fuck with you. I pray that all my friends become people of affluence, because that means we can accomplish more. Individual power is not real power. The power is in units.
And that's just, I mean, that's just simple to me. You look throughout the history, just this human history, you look at people that have power. It was never typically through individuals. It was always through families or through some kind of team. So in 2019, today's time, I don't know why some people lost that information, or maybe they never know, but that's just as simple as it is. Especially being a black person, you have to understand that, because you know there are certain disadvantages. So you got to know, you got to link up with like-minded people and do business together. Use our resources together to get ahead. It's just as simple as that. Because like I come from an environment like I keep mentioning Chicago, where y'all probably know people like this too. It's like how you'll see some girls that want to be the prettiest girl in the circle. It's like the same way with dudes, or we like that with our influence. It's like, all right, we want to be the dude with the most money. But how I see it is, if I'm the only one with money, I'm not doing shit, because I'm not putting nobody else in position. You ain't got no money. You know what I'm saying? That's why at the same time, it's so dope. I love the fact that there's so many black podcasts that's doing super well, because it opens the door now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got Todd and Rashana, me and Deanna, you got Brian, you got Josh, Black World Renaissance. It opens the door for so many others, where we could all eventually put our platforms together and reach so many more people. It would suck for me to be the only podcast on there, or it suck for Todd to be the only one on there, even though that would be dope. But there's no real power in that. You know what I mean? It's we can reach so many more people doing things together. And that goes to all aspects of business anyway, because like I keep saying, at the end of the day, we in America. This is a business. So it makes sense to do business, but you got to make sure people on that business tip thinking business mind.
Yep.
Cool, man. And we know you got break out any minute. So the listeners, make sure you follow X on Twitter, like we said before, at Xavier Miller. If you don't know how to spell Xavier, that's XAVIERCMILLER. And he said it's the same on Instagram. So make sure you follow him. Make sure you follow Millionaire Mindset Podcast. It's on Apple Podcasts. It's on Google Podcasts. It's out there, man. Millionaire Mindsets with Yana Kent. Make sure you catch that.
Also, check out all the podcast sponsors, friends of the podcast: Hood Estates, Ericka Classic Climb, Terry Igioma. I'm an investor. Also, check out Andre C. Hatcher and his Notary company, Provido Life Tees, 17th Watches. Also, I keep telling him to give me an ad, but the Soul for Soul, the brother making the AirPod cases, check him out too. He has a lot of fire merch. Also, check out the Black Christmas Challenge. We are challenging everybody to shop. Maybe not do all your shopping with Black businesses, but make a conscious effort to support Black businesses this Christmas. There's so many out there these days that you have access through Instagram and social media, all that good stuff. Take us out, Raphael.
Yep. So make sure you follow, Charles on Twitter at Legend Billy this week.
You might change it, right?
Yeah. You follow me, Raphael, at Work Money Life. You can follow us on Instagram at Black Wealth Tweet Talk. You got at Todd.capital and at Bless a Black Man. You got so many going, man. So many going.
Just 10x. Episode 25. Signing off.
Yeah, we out.
Appreciate y'all. But definitely, man, that was dope.